All right, and a good Sunday to you. Welcome to another episode of JD's Deep Cut Sunday Tracks. Hope you're having a good end of the weekend, enjoying your nice day. Hopefully, where you are, it's nice too. Had a pretty bright day today, so enjoying that and enjoying some music as well. All right, so on today's episode, again featuring another 70s band. Uh, a band that did not get the due, I think, or the love or the recognition that it should have got. Very underrated band. This band was one of the innovators, I think, of a lot of the hard progressive rock. As they started out, they I don't like to use the word experimenting because on an experiment it's either like they kind of don't know what they're doing, it's something new. But this band, I think, well, and when it comes to music at least, I think they do know what they're doing. But they were the starters, the initiators, I think, of the genre of heavy metal, of progressive. There were other bands doing it as well, and then the vocal ranges and vocal styles. Talking about Uriah Heep, okay. Uriah Heep was a band that got started in or around 69, 70. They were already doing the all the progressive keyboards, long songs, when a lot of bands weren't doing that. There were a couple of them out there doing it as well, but again, I think this band should have got a little bit more recognition. The album we're talking about, or the song, which is on this album, the song we're going to be talking about, this is their second album, Uriah Heep, Salisbury. Okay, this is the first pressing. Okay, classic album. This is my favorite album. Okay, the second one. Demons and Wizards gets a lot of more recognition, I think. Which was the album after this, but this is where it started. Okay, this is where I think where it all started. Their first album wasn't as harder as progressive-y as this one. Okay, and the song we're talking about is "Time to Live." "Time to Live" was a B-side actually, off of their first single that came out on the album, "High Priestess." I think it was the B-side. When you listen to "Time to Live," it almost seems like that song came out like in 84, 83, when you had all the metal bands, glam bands doing their high vocal range, high operatic screams. When those are done right, it sounds good. You enjoy it. Okay, not anybody can pull that off. David Byron, the lead singer, he started doing this. Scorpion started doing it later. Judas Priest, early Priest started doing it. Deep Purple was doing it at the time. I think they were right around the same time. That's why I'm saying Uriah Heep, was in the forefront of all that. But again, they didn't get the love. Not a flash in the pan band. The band did last a few years. And it's still doing it. I think they were still touring 2019, because last year, of course, nothing happened. But the original guitar player is still in the band. He's the only remaining member. Ken Hensley, the keyboard player, sadly passed last year, I believe. But David Byron lasted from 70 to 76. And he was doing those operatic vocal ranges, especially on "Time to Live." Ken Hensley was main songwriter as well, but on this album, David Byron sang about half of the songs, I believe, and Ken sang the other half, the keyboard player. Ken was a multi-instrumentalist. He played guitar, bass, violin, viola, cello, but I think his main thing was the keyboards. And you could definitely hear it. But on "Time to Live," that song has all the elements of a great, hard rock, heavy metal It has the riffs, it has the vocal range, the operatic screams. It has that beat, that head banging beat you like to do. And this was, mind you, in 1970. Okay. The single that came off this album was High Priestess and Lady in Black, I think. Yeah. Um, which are good songs too. Okay. Both of those were sung by Ken. Um, Time to Live was sung by David Byron. Unfortunately, he left the band in '76 due to he wasn't getting along with Ken. Ken was more of the right on, everything has to be in order, kind of like Rick Wakeman, from Yes, John Lord, Deep Purple. I mean, it's of course that's great, but you also want to let loose a little bit, and David did let loose. I mean, he had great voice, and again, you got to listen to Time to Live, where you can hear that operatic screams done right. Like I said, if they're done right, they sound great, and this song was 1971. Like I said, when you listen to the song, if you're a follower of that genre of the music, it seems like this song came out in the 80s when everybody was doing it. Some were doing it good, but a lot weren't. And again, if it's not done right, it just sounds like a scream, But yeah, second album, Salisbury. Check that song out, Time to Live. Lee Kerslake was part of Uriah Heep, which he came out on the next album. That's why I guess that album gets a little bit more love than this one. But my favorite personally is this one. I love all the songs on this one. You got the Salisbury title track, which is I think it's a 17-minute song. It's great. Check that one out. But check out Time to Live. Lee Kerslake, of course, went on to become drummer for Ozzy for the first two albums. My favorite drummer for Ozzy. Sadly, he passed last year too. But yeah. You got to check that song out. Mick Box is the only remaining member, the guitar player. But yeah, I think this was the introduction to heavy. To heavy. A lot of bands probably wanted to emulate Uriah Heep, because you had Priest that came out. Deep Purple was already doing it. You had Scorpions come out after. You had all the birth of all that stuff. But yeah, and then on this album, it was like the original. I like to say the original lineup, because after this, David started having problems within the band with Ken. The drummer, was gone after this. Lee came in, which was great. Who better, right? But Salisbury, I think, is still a solid album as far as the original lineup. Great songs. Poetry in motion. If you read the lyrics, I'm into lyrics. I love reading lyrics. It just makes you appreciate the music a little bit more. But yeah, very poetic. Band from England. English always had that in their favor. They were a little bit more artsy, a little bit more aesthetics within the music and on the album, the illustrations and stuff. This also is one of my dad's albums. That I got out of his his collection, but again, it's in good hands. He knows that. But check out that they briefly explain each song, kind of what it's about. But look at back then what they used to do. I mean, again, you appreciate it a lot more when you're listening to it. You sit back, listen to the music, check out kind of what the song's about. Okay, that's what I love about old vinyl. You get to appreciate it a little bit more. But yeah, Time to Live was a B-side. Okay, B-side of High Priestess. But check out Salisbury. Great album, but especially that track. Again, another track that wasn't lost because it was never even up. It was just a hidden gem, like they like to call it. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you have a nice ending of your weekend. I'll put the link on there. Nobody covered this. I usually have another band that covered it, but nobody that I know of covered this song, so it's original. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Hey, take care.